Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another Autocross car build. My vehicle today is the Ford Deluxe. This certainly, on the face of things, sounds like a rather silly vehicle to be taking Autocross. A 1940s Ford is not exactly the first vehicle you think when doing a very, very technical course. However, I'm not sure. I think this might actually turn out to be better than expected. I don't think we're going to challenge the Beetle and the Datsun and the Alpha. I know the Beetle was a bit of a surprise that it went so fast, but yeah, I don't think this is quite going to challenge them. However, I think this might not be too terrible. I mean, parts-wise, well, we start off in E-Class, so I can do plenty of stuff to the vehicle, and we do have some massive rear tyres, 355s on the rear. They are huge tyres. What do we get on the front? 265s on the front as well. So traction shouldn't be a particular problem. We should have some decent tyre grip. I mean, okay, it's not exactly the best sort of vehicle design for racing. It's yeah, a rather old vehicle, but with race suspension and so on, I think this might not be too terrible. That's the hope, at least. Which one of these is... Wait, hold on. How is that lighter than that? Anybody care to explain? We have got some magic rear bumpers go. Well, I'm going to have the lightest. Bugger it. That is very, very peculiar. Okay, I'm doing all the handling parts first, and then we will see what engines we can use. The standard engine in this is pretty terrible. It doesn't get very much power, and we wouldn't see it get anywhere near A-Class. So we won't be using the standard engine. It's quite how ridiculous levels of power we're going to end up with. There are various different engines that can potentially go into the Deluxe, up to the V12 that goes in this vehicle. Weight-wise, £2,600 is not too bad. We'll come back to that later once we change the engine. We may save some weight with an engine swap. Let's have a look. The options: the 7-litre Hemi, the V12 is in S-Class, or the NASCAR engine also puts it into S-Class. I'm going to want the handling parts, quite frankly. While that is a lighter engine, all the parts I have on the vehicle at the moment I really want for a car like this. So yeah, we're going to go for the 7-litre Hemi. Sure, let's stick that on the Ford Deluxe. Now we could potentially go for... do we want to go for one of these? I think perhaps not. They are adding weight. I think we will stick with the natural aspiration on this, unless for whatever reason we need to go to that to get the PI. These parts aren't adding a massive amount of power. Can we add some stuff on the vehicle? Yeah, these parts are not adding a huge amount in the way of power. We might have to resort to the camshaft bits or a supercharger potentially. I'm hoping that some of these can save a little bit of weight. We do still have gearbox and driveline and all of those bits to stick into the car. I mean, power-wise, this is going to be one of the most powerful builds that I've had on this series. It's going to have a lot of power for an autocross car. Perhaps not quite as much as the limo, but yeah, it's going to be very, very powerful. Right? Okay, so our choices are: we can either go for camshafts or we can go for a supercharger. I think I'm going to go for naturally aspirated on this one for a change. We're going to go with camshafts. And then we will go, or I may have to possibly... Okay, that makes all sorts of mess with PI. Either way, we've got the gearbox in, and... Oh, we might not quite get clutch in. We'll go for driveline first, and then see about clutch and a flywheel. Stick in the diff. Being such an old car, we're going to want one of them, and then clutch. Okay, we're going to have awkward pain in the arse, aren't we? That's what we're going to be doing with this, and then it's going to be back to the engine, and hopefully, fingers crossed, flywheel will give us 1 PI, and indeed it does. Okay, a lot of power, 550 horsepower, 550 foot-pounds of torque in the Ford Deluxe. £2,700. I mean, power to weight ratio is pretty good on this. We have some massive tyres, meaning it might be able to use the power. How well is this going to do around an autocross course? No idea, but I look forward to finding out. So the rather powerful Ford is here at Hockenheim, ready for its autocross test. I'm going to get 3 runs through the course to set as fast a time as possible. Our current leader is the Volkswagen Beetle with a 2 minutes 5.6. I think this could be an interesting prospect. I doubt we will have the handling. Maybe we will, but I do somehow doubt we will have the handling to get quite that fast for a time. We could possibly see this around the sort of 2 minutes 10. It's got good power to weight ratio. Kind of things like brakes and stuff might potentially cause some issues for the Ford. We will have to see. I do expect it to be pretty damn fast off the line, and indeed it does get going very, very well. Bit of understeer going on in the Deluxe, as you might perhaps expect. I can deal with that better though than the oversteer. I'd rather have it doing that than having it go massively, massively sideways. Now, how much speed can I take through here? Yeah, the understeer through that kind of section. I mean, we were about 112, I think I got the Beetle through there at. That one was under 100 miles an hour, and you could see it understeering. We just don't quite have the initial turning grip from this. We do have, of course, that phenomenal acceleration, lovely traction out of the corners as well. This thing has got probably some of the best traction of any of the cars that I've built in this series so far. Really can just boot it and go. Are we going to be flat? No, we don't have the turning. I tried. I thought I'd give it a go. It's just, yeah, understeers quite wide if you try and take that bit there flat out. I'm loving the traction, and I mean it is surprisingly predictable as well. For what it is, it's remarkably predictable through these gates. We'll probably have to slow it down a fair bit through this section. Not too bad still. Through there, probably want to avoid the curves as best we can. Always a nasty curve on the inside there. Oh, but not quite going to nail that flat out. It's just not oversteer problems that we have. It is the understeer through these high-speed changes of direction. Oh, and gets a little bit of a twitch trying to carry the speed and get on the throttle down that part of the course. This is not quite the ridiculous vehicle that you might have feared that it would be. I mean, certainly in A-Class you can get the maxed out V12 in it. But you can get the maxed out V12 in this in C-Class because you won't have the handling part. So building it in the way that I have, we've got 500 horsepower. It's only 100 and a bit more than we got in the Mustang. It does handle that power very, very well. It's just the slight understeer that we have going on that caused it a couple of issues. We slid it out of that final section. Okay, for an opening run, I don't think that's too bad from the Deluxe. Just got to not hit any gates next time out. Right, on to our second attempt. Got to deal with the understeer a little bit better. You're just not going to carry the same speed through the turns as you could with the Beetle or the Holden or any of the cars that have recently gone just the high-speed stuff. You've got to be aware that you're going to get understeer. Everywhere else, though, I do quite like this. I do quite like this car. It's not quite. When you hear of it, like an A-Class Ford Deluxe, you kind of expect this thing to be ludicrous, and it isn't quite as ludicrous as you would expect it to be. It's just understeer that you've got to be dealing with. Perhaps the tyre size difference is probably not helping with that. With the understeer, yeah, if we could have some much larger front tyres, get a little bit more, get a little bit more grip, get a little bit better balance in the car, that would probably help matters. But yeah, having those huge rear tyres mean that we can push the car. I'm pushing it too hard. Again, you just simply can't carry the corner speed with this as we head down towards this section. I mean, the power is nice, the acceleration is nice in this car, but because I'm having to have a lift, this is probably one of the slowest down that small straight section. We were seeing 114, 115 miles an hour from the fastest vehicles. This one was about 108. I mean, it will out-accelerate all of the other cars that I've built in this series, probably. But it's no good if you can't use it around this course. Also, across a very specific challenge for these cars. We've actually got a little bit of oversteer. That's the first time I've had any real oversteer coming from the Deluxe. Oh, it turned in through this bit. Right, let's not fluff up the tunnel. That was better through there. Yeah, it just got a little bobble last time around that I didn't quite catch in time. We can let the understeer drag it slightly wide through here. I think we've only had one gate clip, so this should give us a fairly decent idea of what times we can perhaps expect from the Deluxe as we come up towards this last section. I mean, I think this does pretty well around here. I think it's doing a pretty damn good job. We are likely to perhaps struggle in this final section, just trying to get the change of direction down. Might be a little bit problematic for this, but having so much power on tap, and that's pretty damn good time. 2:14.8 from the Deluxe, with a 5-second time penalty for clipping the gate. We may well see this go under the 2-minute 10 mark. So our final attempt with the Ford Deluxe Coupe. It's actually going a bit quicker than bit quicker than I was actually expecting, especially considering the understeer. This is looking like a surprisingly good vehicle. That's not quite what I was expecting. And I also suspect when people suggested this vehicle, they weren't expecting it to be quite as good. I mean, the Beetle, I always had suspicion the Beetle could be quite fast. I've seen very, very fast race versions of them. But the Deluxe, especially with all of the braking that I got to do through here, I mean, that was a little bit more of a slow into that section and got a bit quicker on the way out. I think that's probably a good way of taking things. Yeah, this I really didn't expect to do a huge amount, but I'm very, very impressed with this vehicle. Right, on towards this back straight. Now, don't get carried away with this gate. I know I could chuck it down this part with the Beetle, but you can't. I mean, that's still 60, 70 miles an hour through that gate. That's still very, very quick. We do have to have a dab on the brakes there, though, to make sure we are through. A little bit better again on the top speed there by just being slower into these fast gates. I think with the understeering car, such as this one here, that is probably the better option. Just be a little bit slower into the gate, make sure you got the car turned, and then make the most of the acceleration, because there is a lot of it. And there is a glorious noise coming from the from the Deluxe. Might be one of the best sounding vehicles that we have had go around this this course. Alright, now we've got to try and get this bit right again. If you can turn in soon enough to account for the understeer, you can get through there flat out. It will do it. Brakes are actually pretty good as well on this vehicle. I mean, it's perhaps not going quite as quickly as some of the really fast vehicles have gone around this course, because we aren't simply carrying the speed through the corners that we have done in the past. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, again, it was a fear that the brakes were going to be absolutely awful on here, and it's not. It gets stopped really quite well as we're coming up towards this final section now. I've been thoroughly impressed by this this Deluxe. Just can we have an equally impressive time to go with it? The last slalom towards the line, get on that power, don't let the understeer catch you out. We're going to get a slide, and it is a 2 minutes 9.7 from the Deluxe. I think that is a respectable, definitely a very, very respectable time from the Ford there. Yeah, I'm really quite surprised by just how well this vehicle manages, and considering the amount of braking in places where you don't normally brake for cars. You know, they've got to slow down quite a lot for a couple of the very fast gates. The amount of time you're probably losing in them sections. To be able to do a 2 minute 9 is very, very impressive. That puts it quicker than the Cooper Works Mini. It's quicker than the Tesla Model S, the Volvo 123. That's not a bad time at all. It's just over a second down on the NSX. Remember, that NSX was a phenomenal car to drive, an absolutely lovely handling car. And this is only just over a second down on it. The Deluxe is yeah, I'm impressed. I'm really very, very impressed with the Deluxe Coupe. Got to be aware of the understeer, though. Going on in this vehicle, it just doesn't have the front end grip to get through the fast sections on this course anywhere near as well as the likes of the Beetle. But yeah, that is, I didn't quite expect it to be as sensible as it was, really, with this car. But there you go. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.